The Buffalo Sabres and Jeff Skinner have agreed to terms on an 8-year contract extension. In today's video, we're going to discuss the terms of the contract and I'll give you my opinion coming up next. Welcome back to Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. So we have one more name we can cross off the free agent rumor list here. Jeff Skinner and the Buffalo Sabres have come to terms on an 8-year contract extension, which is going to pay him a total of $72 million, which is a $9 million annual cap hit for the goal-scoring speedy winger here for the Sabres. Now, of course, as we know, the Buffalo Sabres, I think, were kind of put in an awkward position here where they kind of had to overpay a little bit to retain him for the 8-year contract. Obviously, he had a phenomenal year last year with the Sabres. He really meshed well with Jack Eichel, and he scored 40 goals and 63 points, which was a career high in goals and matched his career high on the total points level here. So overall, he was a great fit with Buffalo. The other part that made it even better was when they made the trade with Carolina. They paid next to nothing for him, so they basically stole him out of Carolina and got themselves a 40-goal scorer. There's a few things I like and a few things I don't like about this contract for Jeff Skinner, so let's get into that. Now, a couple of things that I do like is the term. It's 8 years long. He's still only 27. I don't have any problems with a player his age getting an 8-year deal. Once you start getting up 29, 30 years old, that becomes a lot more risky, and there's a lot more likelihood that in the later years of the contract that it's going to become problematic and they won't be nearly as productive. Taking a quick look at Jeff Skinner's overall career stats here, you'll see here that he's been a very productive goal scorer, which is the other thing that I really like about this contract. During his time in the NHL, since he came in early right after being drafted with Carolina, he's got himself 3 20-goal scoring seasons, 3 30-goal scoring seasons, and he's got 1 40-goal season, which came last year in a Sabres uniform. So he's got 244 goals over his NHL career. He is certainly a terrific skater. He's got lots of speed as well. So overall, those are the main things I like about this contract, is that they have themselves a bona fide 30 to 40 goal man locked up for a number of years to come who can play on that top line with their captain and young player, Jack Eichel, who's also a big part of this team's future. Now, the things that I don't like about this is the actual cap hit. $9 million is a lot of money, especially for a guy who's somewhat one-dimensional here. Now, if you take a look at the overall highest paid players in the league, right now this is going to put him to be the 14th highest paid player in the NHL. Now, of course, I understand that many of these contracts were signed a number of years ago, and obviously the salary cap was different, it was less, and at the time these contract amounts might have seemed to be much higher than it would be if they're being signed today for these players. However, if you compare Jeff Skinner to other wingers that are comparable on this list, like a Patrick Kane or an Alex Ovechkin or a Nikita Kucherov, they are much more productive overall. Yes, they score a lot as well, which Skinner can certainly back up the scoring, but he doesn't really get a lot of assists. He's not much of a playmaker. I do look at him as being a little bit more one-dimensional than a lot of other top-scoring wingers here at the NHL. So overall, I think that $9 million is a lot of money when you compare it to what these other top wingers are getting paid. Hopefully the salary cap goes up enough during the first 3 to 4 years of this contract that it might seem like a little bit more of a bargain in a few years' time here down the road. But the Buffalo Sabres have been rebuilding for a long time. They've had a hard time getting some really solid building blocks in place. You know, they drafted Jack Eichel, number 2 overall, a few years ago. They got him on a $10 million contract. Now they have Jeff Skinner, who meshed really well with him on a $9 million contract. And I know a lot of people like to kind of poke at the Maple Leafs here and say that they've got way too much money tied up in their top forwards. Well, the Sabres are kind of heading down a similar route. Are they going to leave themselves enough money here to kind of round out the rest of the team, defense, goaltending, etc., to make themselves really a true bona fide playoff team? Obviously, I know it's only 2 players where the Leafs have, like, potentially 4 or 5 who could end up with the big bucks here, but not quite the same, but sort of heading down that path if they keep developing some strong forwards. But either way, I think it's a bit of an overpayment. I think he more likely would have fell into that $7 to $8 million range. But I think with the ever rebuilding Sabres and pressure to win, I think they were kind of backed into a corner a little bit and certainly did overpay a bit here to kind of keep him in the loop. But this is the number on the contract that's been speculated by TSN's Bob McKenzie, Elliot Friedman, Pierre LeBrun, etc. here over the recent weeks and days leading up to this, that it was likely going to be in this range, and that's exactly what it ended up being. So I'm not surprised on the number, but like I said, I'm just a little bit concerned over the long term here, especially where he's had health issues in the past. Lately, he's been more healthy and productive, which is good. Hopefully things stay that way for Jeff Skinner. Skinner can certainly provide lots of value, and hopefully he can live up to his end of the bargain here now that he's got this mega contract in place. So of course, as always, I want to hear your thoughts and your opinions on the new Skinner contract here with the Buffalo Sabres. Do you think it's a fair deal, or do you think they might have paid too much to retain their winger for the 8-year term? If you're new to the channel, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, subscribe for more content just like this one, and give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.